zitiert für Madanga. Gut. Ja, super. Parama karuna bhahudvijana nitai gaurachandra. Parama karuna bhahudvijana nitai gaurachandra. Shabhavatara Shiromani Kevalananda Kanda. Shabhavatara Shiromani Kevalananda Kanda. Kevalananda Kanda. Bhajo bhajo bhai Caitanya nitai sudrita vishvasa kori. Bhajo bhajo bhai Caitanya nitai sudrita vishvasa kori. Vishaya chariya serasimachiya mukhe bolo hari hari. Vishaya chariya serasimachiya mukhe bolo hari hari. Mukhe bolo hari hari. Dekho re bhai tribhuvane nai emona doyala data. Dekho re bhai tribhuvane nai emona doyala data. Pashu pakhi chure pasana vidare shunichara gunagata. Pashu pakhi chure pasana vidare shunichara gunagata. Shunichara gunagata. Sangsare machiya rohile podiya se pade nahilo asha. Sangsare machiya rohile podiya se pade nahilo asha. Apana karama bunchaya shamana kahoye lochana dasa. Apana karama bunchaya shamana
Kahoye lochana dasa, Kahoye lochana dasa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Gaura Nityananda Daya Ki. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Welcome to our Caitanya-caritāmṛta class. We continue in the Madhya-līlā, chapter 18, from text 126 on. I hope I will manage the Bengali here. Eta mahima tumara tatashta lakshana swarupa lakshane tumi vracendranandana. Eta mahima tumara tatashta lakshana. Eta mahima tumara tatashtas lakshana. Swarupa lakshana tumi vracenda nandana. Swarupa lakshane tumi vracendra nandana. Someone wants to give it a try. Eta mahima tumara tatashta lakshana. Swarupa lakshane tumi vracendra nandana. Eta, all these, mahima, glories, tumara, your, tatashta, lakshana, marginal characteristics, swarupa, original, lakshane, by characteristics, tumi, you, Vracendranandana, the son of Maharaj Nanda. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the people seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continue to speak, these glories of yours are only marginal. Originally, you are the son of Maharaj Nanda. Purport. The original characteristics of a substance are called swarupa, and the subsequent corollaries are called tatashta lakshana, or marginal characteristics. The glories of the Lord's marginal characteristics prove Him to be the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Nanda. As soon as one understands this, one accepts Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svabharantikam. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vagishayasya vadane, Lakshmiryasya chavakshasi, Yasya te hridaye samvit, Tam narasimham aham bhaje, Pralada hridayaladam, Bhaktavitya vidaram, Sharatinduruchim vande, Parindra vandanam harim. These glories of yours are only marginal. Originally, you are the son of Maharaj Nanda. I'm going to continue, also read a few more shlokas from there, since the purport is rather short. And yes, these verses are in themselves quite instructive. Let's look back a bit on the previous Caitanya-caritāmṛta class to get a bit more of context, what's happening here, why is this statement being made. And we heard last time that the residents, or like the people surrounding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, recognized him as Krishna because his transcendental features and qualities, characteristics could not be concealed. Only his complexion changed, and we heard about how his complexion is originally that of the Atasi flower. This is how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur instructs us how to envision the color. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture because my laptop is somewhere else. Then we have the color of molten gold of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over, covering these other complexion. And we read from the Nectar of Devotion how Krishna has particular characteristics and features that make him the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We heard that his beauty is one of these characteristics, or here's the term Srila Prabhupada says, the original characteristics of a substance are called Svarupa, and the subsequent corollaries are called Tatashta Lakshana, or marginal characteristics. So Krishna has his form, and then he has his paraphernalia, like connected to his form. And we heard how all the limbs of his body are very beautiful. We heard how his thighs are compared to being as powerful as elephant trunks. His face is like the moon, etc. And that there are very auspicious characteristics on these very limbs, like the reddish color on hands and feet, or in his eyes, etc. And then that all of these together is very pleasing. We heard about this quality. And also that he is very radiant. So, and also that there were particular marks on his hands, like the destiny lines, or how do you say that in English? Yeah, hands and feet, where there is, for example, a flag, also a conch shell, elephant rod, thunderbolt, and so on, that to some degree might be found also on great personalities, it said, but in Krishna they are complete. So, and this is actually also how incarnations of Krishna are being recognized. Often we hear Srila Prabhupada saying that one should not simply, of course, accept someone as an avatar or incarnation based on simply his statement that it is so, but he has to manifest also certain features that are found in Shastra. One aspect is, he says, always his parents and his place of birth has to be mentioned in Shastra, so that it can go in direction acceptance of someone as an avatar. Besides that, but there are like these characteristics of the body, like the marks on hands and feet. And we see also that Krishna was being recognized when he took birth by their priest, Garga Muni. He recognized it. So he mentioned that this and to Nanda Maharaj, this and this and this are the features of this body. Therefore, we can conclude that he is such and such personality. Srila Prabhupada once made a remark on this Sai Baba. There are different Sai Babas. There's this one in India, this kind of famous saintly person. I don't know much about him. Then there's the Sai Baba, this Afro type, like who was, I don't know, he left his body already, I assume. But anyway, when he was there, he was manifesting also gold watches and stuff, like kind of mystic capacities. And I think, as far as I'm aware, he once almost joked on trying to manifest a golden egg or something that came out there. And so Prabhupada says, with just one remark, he's not Krishna. Krishna said Krishna is very beautiful, so he cannot be Krishna. Because if you see his face, he's not at all a very handsome person. So Prabhupada made this remark that, yeah, taking into consideration all these features, and the people stated also in the previous verses, yeah, it cannot be concealed. You're self-luminous, so to speak. When Krishna is there, there's no point of that he's ultimately not being recognized. We can't just not hide these features. And I would like to say a few words up front, since we also have now some devotees with us who are not familiar with this Caitanya-caritāmṛta, that there is a distinction in terms of a chronology of how to study these books, what book has which status. There's some hierarchy. That actually the Caitanya-caritāmṛta is a so-called postgraduate study. It means it's actually assumed that the person who studies that has already gained understanding of Krishna's form, pastime, nature, of the tattva from the scriptures like Srimad-Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada referred to the Bhagavad Gita as our standard book of knowledge. It's the ABC, so to speak. It contains 5 topics, which is in the first place Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, Prakriti, material nature, and then there's Kala, time factor, and Karma, activity. And the Bhagavad Gita provides a study on these 5 subjects with the aim to that the student understands the connection between these 5, particularly how Ishvara, the Lord, and Jiva, the Atma, and Prakriti, how they relate to each other and how they are different from one another. The first stepping stone on a transcendental path, or like on the path of Krishna consciousness, is the understanding that one is different from this body, that one understands there's something called transcendence, which is contrary to material nature, and that there's material nature, and that one learns the distinction between the two in order to not confuse them. It's highlighted how Krishna is transcendental to material nature, and one should not look at Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, behaviors in a way as if he would be a created being as we are. So these parts, or these stepping stones, or like the study goals, are being provided when someone studies Bhagavad Gita, which is the song of Krishna, where he instructs on many matters a bit, how to say, very just shortly, just mentioning it. Others are a bit more elaborately described. And then one continues to the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which means translated as much as the glories of Bhagavat and Bhagavan. Means the glories of the Supreme Lord and the glories of the devotees. In the Bhagavatam we find also a chronological order of study from the 1st canto to the 12th canto, which Srila Prabhupada often emphasizes that one should study like this, that the first 2 cantos represent the lotus feet of the Lord. In general, the whole Bhagavatam represents the Murti of Krishna, and as one looks at the Murti in a particular way, by starting at the lotus feet and moving upwards gradually, so one also studies the Srimad-Bhagavatam from the first 2 cantos, which deal mainly with creation and also some other philosophical topics. The 3rd, 4th canto is also a lot of philosophy, describing already different avatars, regular appearing incarnations, and some glories of some devotees. And then gradually one moves on to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, which comes in the 10th canto. So, and then one gets an understanding of Krishna Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, all these things, and that one understands what is actual devotional service. This is also there. The Nectar of Devotion is a book that is also handled in a way that half of it almost is being studied when you study also Bhagavad Gita in the Bhakti Shastri, but the other parts are reserved for the later study, because then it gets more elevated and more confidential in terms of philosophy and knowledge. So we have in the same book some distinction. Rupa Goswami builds up systematically the science of devotional service. And of course, the Nectar of Devotion is explicitly dedicating a big part to the personality of Krishna. We find all the qualities of Krishna mentioned, the rasas one can have. This is another whole concept which is not there so much in the Bhagavad Gita, for example. Srila Prabhupada mentions it interestingly right in the introduction. He mentions the 5 rasas. In connection to that, Arjuna had one of these relationships, namely friendship. So pointing out one actually, in order to truly understand Krishna, to be truly Krishna conscious, one actually must be on a liberated platform. It's an interesting thing that he says, like a devotee like Arjuna could or was a proper recipient for Krishna's instruction, since he was practically a transcendental personality relating to Krishna on the transcendental platform. And we will hear more also of this today from the Nectar of Devotion. And when one has studied these books and gets some more deeper understanding, then actually Caitanya-caritāmṛta comes, if you take it in order of study. Of course, we also hear Caitanya-caritāmṛta before that, Some might even have gotten the book first before they got any other book. So it's not that it's forbidden to read it. I'm just pointing it out, so because this, what we are reading here at the moment, and the verses are to come, show why it is such a rather postgraduate study, why it actually provides so much upfront knowledge, so that we can really actually enter it. In some places in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, also the author himself, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, mentions, he describes a pastime between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a devotee or several, and then he says, what was being said there, or like what they did, only these two could understand. No one else can. You find often such statements where even the author cannot explain what exactly is happening here and why. You know, it's some secret. It's mysterious, and yeah, that should give some hint to why why is it actually very much recommended and perhaps even, required to study these other books thoroughly, so that one can enter the Caitanya-caritāmṛta in a proper way, truly appreciating Krishna's nature as pastimes, because otherwise one makes the mistake of attributing maybe material qualities or a materialistic mindset to a person who is very transcendental. Anyway, this is said, a person in the material world cannot understand or, in this sense, grasp transcendental activities of a liberated person. What we do is we hear about them with faith to get purified and hopefully can absorb in it. So we should not attempt to try to accommodate all these things within our mind and try to apply our logic. So to some degree it might work, but otherwise it's beyond. Even the very nature of Krishna is transcendental, and the word means beyond material sense perception. So therefore this must be something to be clear. You know. So here the people are saying, these glories of yours are only marginal. Originally you are the son of Maharaj Nanda. And yeah, we mentioned it, the bodily features of Krishna, and then also his, which is called Svarup, and then the Tatashta Lakshana, subsequent corollaries, like his jewelries, his flute, the way he dresses, the ornaments he wears. And it's described in the Nectar of Devotion. There's for each of these items, there's particular terms, and generally it's about rati, or the love one can experience for Krishna, and how this is stimulated by different features of Krishna himself. We heard about the bodily features, for example, also his complexion, the color of the atasi flower, this very pleasant bluish complexion. And at the same time also it's described how his skin smells, that it has actually an extremely pleasant, enjoyable, flowery smell. Krishna smells on flowers. And so also his appearance, like it say, is intoxicating for the eyes. There's a description how the liberated souls in the spiritual world, when they see Krishna, they feel intoxication. They not just feel pleased, as we say in the material world, oh, that's pleasant and nice. No, they experience intense, ecstatic, loving feelings, strong attraction, because what they see is a limitless body, a limitless. The features in itself are not of this world; they are transcendental. They're in themselves inexhaustible. So each feature of Krishna causes particular ecstatic emotions in the jiva. It's described. I forgot the Sanskrit terms, but this is also the Nectar of Devotion has literally a scientific approach to the relationships of the jivas and Krishna, to the personality of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada actually simplified many things for us, fortunately, because if you read the thicker one, the other translation, Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's so many terms and concepts you first have. It takes a while till you get all the terms. And what to speak of really entering the meaning and the concept that is being provided through them. So Krishna stimulates the love of his devotees simply already by how he looks like, how he dresses, how he behaves, how he moves his eyebrows, for example. We heard about his voice last time, how it is very deep. and how not just that his voice is deep, also he is capable to speak and communicate with just every living entity in any species. It's also mentioned how one woman of Vrindavan is glorifying Krishna and saying how wonderful it is to see Krishna, how he converses with the birds, the Rajvasis and the demigods and the deirs alike. He can just speak with everyone. For him there's no, we say in German, Sprachbarrieren, oder? There are no limitations of language, because anyway he's the creator of all possible languages. So then we can hear how Krishna is in so many ways wonderful and causes astonishment and loving feelings. And the term love is in a sense not really sufficient to describe what is happening between the liberated jivas and Krishna, since often our concept of love is based on what we can experience within human relationships of love. There's conditions to it, there's a limitation to it, there's different ideas what it means also. When people say love, they don't necessarily mean the same thing. Depends on their mentality, depends on their way, how they are wired, so to speak. And the Sanskrit words are very interesting. They give a whole variety of these types of love. Like we heard, rati is one term for love. And interestingly, the word arati, what we perform, is actually meaning that what invokes deep love for Krishna. So an arati ceremony is also that would actually stimulate also our love for Krishna. And then we have bhava, also a word mentioned, which is also strong love. And then there's pure love, prema. And there might be some other terms that indicate particular facets of a strong emotional experience on the transcendental platform. So this is something one has to develop too, because if we look at the 9 stages of devotional service, we see these particular, also ruchi is actually one, taste is a certain experience, or ashakti, strong affection, attraction. These things come on the second half of the processes. We have, in all the processes, we have shraddha, which is accompanying every stage, the trust and faith in the process, in the scriptures, in the spiritual master. Sadhusanga, the association of devotees who are likewise aiming for the supreme goal. Then is bhajana kriya. It's called interrupted devotional service, which means one does it, but it's not a full-time thing, not in terms of time necessarily. Not that you are like on a calendar, oh, there's some time slot left. It's more like with your mind, and then you're not fully connecting. And between, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So I also see myself there, sometimes do, sometimes don't. And then comes the stage, or like, which also is accompanied. We don't have to necessarily see them as hierarchical, but also as parallel. These levels comes anartha nivritti, that we work on that which is in the way to develop love for Krishna, the so-called unwanted habits. And then when this is sufficiently done to some degree, it doesn't have to be completely, then nishta can develop. The more like the unwanted things can be removed and transformed, the more one can become steady in devotional service and then absorb differently. And by omitting so many things that are detrimental to devotional service, one gives rise to purification, one gives rise to do the things that are actually very supportive for devotional service. And then this, what we call bhakti, is another term for love or loving devotion. Then this can more develop. And then from there it says some ruchi comes, the taste, that we really relish doing it. So that's an interesting thing to do. Before, we don't necessarily relish it. We have to, or we are in the situation where we fight with our mind to discipline ourselves, more like from a, let's say, ethical viewpoint. What is right and what is wrong? What is actually good? What should I do? And we might motivate us with how would I feel like when I do it instead of if I wouldn't do it. So more like working with the mind, like kind of motivating the mind to get into it. And at the same time, it might provide us like a deep experience, it might not. Sometimes it might be literally work. So, but later, and something is the mind feels stimulated to do it. He's inspired to do it because he feels conviction and he feels some satisfaction and also satiation, spiritual satiation, in these activities of the chanting, of praying, studying, of worshipping, of exchanging also with devotees. And then we get more and more to this, what we call rati, or the feelings for Krishna. So what to speak of the pure love, which is even said, like a human being in this body cannot even perceive it. It's even not existing in the material world. It's something that exists on the spiritual platform, prema. Since also the human body wouldn't be capable to contain such feelings. It would simply burst into pieces. We might remember sometimes it said there are certain ecstatic features. The next verses will describe that also, or like the previous ones did also with the chanting. In the Adi-līlā already, connected with the Madhya-līlā, there's descriptions of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested ecstatic symptoms of such love himself. Because he put himself into the situation, I am a devotee of Krishna, and let me taste it, let me relish it, how it is to be a devotee, particular. Not just one devotee being the topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, and experience what she experiences. And then it's described how the, let's call it, symptoms we more regularly hear about, like there's shivering of the body and tears come from his eyes. Sometimes it's described that in the kirtan his tears were not just flowing, they were like showers. They were literally showering the devotees all around. And then there's falling unconscious, rolling on the ground, hairs standing on end. These strong ecstatic symptoms are there, but then it goes further. He transforms his body in a way that it's impossible to imagine, what to speak of imitation. This is not possible. He can withdraw, like Jagannath himself, withdraw his arms within his torso. So then he's there. Or sometimes he makes the opposite, like his joints loosen up to 8 inches, the hands and arms, and just merely the skin holds the arms together as an ecstatic symptom. It's also described how his teeth sometimes become loose, or blood comes from all the pores of his body. So these descriptions are there, how his body completely is being, turned around and completely, because emotion moves, something so strong, moves so strong that his body is completely losing shape, literally. And this is not possible in a human body, of course. It's also said these particular symptoms only exist in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and rarely, sometimes they might be manifested in the material world by him. So, this is the personality we speak here about, and then here they recognize him. Yeah, you are this Krishna, this Nanda Nandana, or this Rajendra Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj, coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then they continue here saying, oh yeah, it's more like the author continues. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then bestowed his causeless mercy upon all the people there, and everyone became ecstatic with love of God. Finally, they all returned to their homes. And I was contemplating on this verse. Yeah, what does it actually mean that he bestowed his causeless mercy upon them? What is happening there? What is this action of bestowing mercy? How to imagine that? Because something obviously happened with these people. They completely shifted from where they were at to ecstatic love of God, the supreme platform of relishing Krishna. And one thing that came to my mind is simply the effect the sun has in our world. We all know when it's night, then nothing can be recognized, and usually night is characterized by fear also. I remember that when we had been to the Japa retreat some 2 years ago, somewhere in, I don't know where, anywhere, somewhere in the Swiss mountains. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhachu Devi Ki Jai, Shishi Gaunitai Ki Jai. And for once, of course, I can appreciate the silence and the peace. And then we went out, it was a bit late at night, it was the two of us, and we walked, and once I was also alone, chanting a bit extra, but I couldn't help it, my mind couldn't help it to be freaked out alone in the forest. Not appreciating the peace or something, no, it's dark, and even rationally you can imagine if during the day there might not be whatever creatures around, why should there be suddenly at night in a rather area of whatever, how cultivated it is. But still, the night itself has the effect, it brings these emotions with it, you know, and darkness. You can see, you can hardly orientate yourself. But then as soon as the sun is coming and cuts off the night, day is coming, your mind completely changes. All fear is forgotten. Because everything is visible, light is there, and also your mind can appreciate the day. It's like as you wake up from a dream and you notice it's over, you can cut off all the emotions connected to it. Although, except sometimes the dream might be very intense and follows you a bit in the day, but otherwise, it's like this. And when the sun comes, darkness cannot exist anymore. There's also this one shloka, I forgot the Sanskrit, where it says Maya is like darkness and Krishna is like the sun, and wherever there is the sun, Krishna, Maya cannot exist. She's always on a distance. So it seems here when he becomes revealed or visible, then all the darkness of ignorance is being dispelled, and all these souls or jivas, they recognize themselves in the light of Krishna, in their own relationship to him, and experience their intrinsic loving connection to Krishna. And this is also how Prabhupada in Nectar of Devotion describes how actually the self-realization works, that as we need the sun to see objects around us, to see ourselves, so also we need Krishna to see, that we see our Atma, or the true self. So the process of devotional service means by realizing Krishna gradually, it goes along with, or comes along with, the realization of Atma or Swarup. This actual spiritual identity comes only when Krishna is revealing himself, because this Swarup is intrinsically connected to Krishna. We don't have a Swarup independent of Krishna, because the Swarup, or original identity, is meant to serve in a particular way in Krishna's pastimes. It has no other purpose. So therefore also a impersonalist or yogi cannot realize the Swarup fully. An impersonalist realizes only certain aspects of Atma, the more abstract, the light, for example, this radiation, the Brahman nature, but the Swarup cannot be revealed to a non-devotee. It's just not possible. Because you cannot be a non-devotee and know your Swarup. This is an oxymoron. Because this Swarup is a devotee. No? And so when Mahaprabhu is there, and they recognize him, you are Krishna, they also recognize, we are your eternal loving servants, and they experience great ecstasy. It was at least the understanding I could come up with when I read these verses. Because wherever he went, people started to feel ecstatic love for God. It said he distributed that. So he actually invites all the jivas, or allows them to see their original relationship with him and participate in the pastime. So that's the special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he allows us very easily actually to participate in Krishna's pastimes, so to speak. And it said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained for some days in Akrura Tirtha. He delivered everyone there simply by distributing the holy name of Krishna and ecstatic love for the Lord. Now, the Brahmana disciple of Madhava Puri went from house to house in Mathura and inspired other Brahmanas to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to their homes. So there's now a whole story how he gets invited by different Brahmins who are actually very strict Vedic followers, pointing out even they, because sometimes they're looked at being not so appreciative of Krishna because being a bit too much absorbed in Vedic rituals, they could fully appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they invited him. Yeah, actually first I plan to speak also more on the whole topic of rasa, the 5 main rasas, and how there's so many amazing qualities and qualifications, even on the so-called lower rasas. What to speak of that, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving here, this Madhurya Rasa's highest love, Krishna. And to understand how actually unbelievable it is, like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the holy name gives that which is hardly attained even by great transcendentalists who have much different or maybe better qualifications than we have. And Rupa Goswami glorifies Krishna like this. We chant this mantra, particularly also when we offer food. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Premapadayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namna Gaura Tvise Namaha. Pointing out this, you're the most magnificent incarnation of Krishna, and you did something what no other incarnation did before. You gave something no other incarnation gave before. And that is pure love of God. And the acharyas say, and also many sources, the only thing one needs, or the qualification, is the intense greed for that. If one hears about it and has faith in it, that one develops the intense desire to attain that, to be blessed by Mahaprabhu. Yeah, I think I'll stop here and feel like we can share, discuss. There would be the microphone would be necessary, since otherwise no one hears it. Does it suffice?
Almost.
Ist das an? Jetzt.
Vielen Dank für deinen Vortrag. Und du hast gesagt, dass Swarup eine Persönlichkeit ist, Diener zu sein oder im Dienst zu sein. Das heißt, die Mayavadis, die sich mit Brahmajyoti verschmelzen, beziehungsweise Brahmajyoti versinken, die sind jetzt nicht in sein Swarup, oder? Mhm. Oder ist das ein Swarup von einer Seele, die unpersönliche Beziehung mit Gott hat?
Okay. Also mein Verständnis ist, dass eben... he had in English. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Let me translate into English. So his question is like because I mentioned before this Swarup as in being intrinsic nature in relationship to Krishna, means a personal servitor form, relating to those who enter the Brahmajyoti and merge with them. So if they're now not in their Swarup, or if they don't have Swarup at that time. Yes, my understanding is that they don't have access to their Swarup, because if they would not be in the Brahmajyoti. And as it said, it's possible for the yogi and the jnani to attain Brahmabhuta. It said Brahmabhuta prasanatmana sochatina kankshati samasavesha bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. This is actually the basis for bhakti. There is a level, like from being a conditioned soul to a liberated soul, which does not necessarily involve that one becomes a devotee of Krishna. Like a mystic yogi or jnani, by some processes of yoga, which of course involve Krishna to some degree, but don't necessarily require a devotional attitude. It's also said that for the demons, the Brahmajyoti is also available. It's neutral, literally. It accepts those, whoever is of what motivation wants to become free from the material world and can enter there. And then these souls understand the Sat, or like the eternity and non-material aspect of the Atma. So they have a, so to speak, partial realization of the self. Because the full self or Swarup is only revealed to the jiva if the true loving tendency and attitude toward Krishna is being developed. This is the precondition that the Swarup can be revealed. Because let's understand what is Swarup. Krishna created a living entity with a particular way of how it can relate to Krishna. And this is, as I said, intrinsically connected. And if the jiva but chooses to be forgetful, it cannot forget Krishna but remember his Swarup. If then it must forget both things. Maybe we can compare it. Sometimes you have that a human being is really, out of some reason, not interested to remain in human society and goes into the forest, there are some stories, and lives with the gorillas or with some monkey tribe. And they gradually adopt actually an identity of being a monkey. But they cannot fully do that if they do not give up their identity as human being. It wouldn't really work, this merging. They have to let go of that I'm a human. So they cannot be, so to speak, with the monkeys and feel as a family, and at the same time remain in the identity I'm a human being. So perhaps this could serve as an example to understand in the spiritual world, you cannot say, I don't want to be this type of servant of Krishna, but at the same time want to remain in my service form. It wouldn't work. So therefore, like only by devotional service, by the grace of Krishna, ultimately the full self-realization can be attained. Srila Prabhupada also often mentions that when he says there's 3 levels of spiritual realization, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The first 2 are always partial realizations of the absolute truth, of course, but it also means partial realizations of the self. Only full realization of Krishna, and then brings with it the full realization of the Swarup. I mean, this is my understanding, at least. Someone might bring in something to the contrary, perhaps. Yeah, because he says, this Brahmabhuta Prasanatma verse is stating when one has to reach the platform of transcendence, when one is Prasana Atma, that means free from the 3 modes of nature, one is first more or less neutral to the spiritual world, to the material world, and it says, Mat-bhaktim labhate param, from there devotional service starts, or pure devotional service starts. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, one cannot serve the Supreme unless one is one with the Supreme. And of course he does not mean merging impersonally. He means if you're not in the same sphere, in the same nature, so to speak, you cannot relate. Like Krishna has no material senses, no material body, so if you give him material food, he doesn't eat food, for example. So also our body, our material body, is not fit actually to serve Krishna. But our devotional service shall lead to that we attain a spiritual body in which we can directly and purely serve Krishna. That's my understanding of the philosophy.
Danke dir. Was mir jetzt gerade eingefallen ist, Swarupa, Rupa heißt ja eine Form. Ne? Und die Impressionalisten, die wollen ja wirklich keine Form haben. Die wollen wirklich so mit Brahmajyoti verschmelzen. Also das heißt, wenn sie da drin sind, dann meinen sie, dass sie keine Rupa haben. Also da können sie gar nicht Swarupa erfahren, oder?
Genau. Yes.
Okay, danke dir.
Yeah, so he's saying that since the impersonalist actually wants to become free of any form or Swarup, it would be completely contradictory to then attain a sense of Swarup, because what they want is Aswarup, so no form. Any other comments, questions? Then we leave it here. Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.